Welcome to round 4 of the May Mashup Tournament. If you've missed rounds 1 through 3, there will be links down in the description below. Each video contains a chapter of the campaign story that I've been writing as an event coordinator to go along with the combinations we've played. So if you're interested in the fan fiction aspect of it, you're going to want to go back to the earlier rounds and go ahead and listen to the story as you watch the gameplay as well. So next up is the story itself, followed by the first game, the next part of the story, followed by the next game. Please enjoy.
Chapter 4, Part 1. The Pieces Are Moving. It had been days that felt like weeks since Anna and Zara had stopped for more than a few hours. Avoiding scouts and raiding parties of the Saxony Empire and the Russviet Union had required stealth and speed. Staying in place for too long meant discovery. The open tundra gave little shelter or margin for error. Carr proved invaluable. His ability to scout ahead was the only way that Anna and Zara kept distance between themselves and the enemy. Their fatigue and hunger became overwhelming. There was little food on the unforgiving permafrost. The occasional white rabbit or fox that Carr captured or Zara felled with her bow were their only source of sustenance. They dared not risk letting the crack of Anna's rifle reverberate over the empty plains, making hunting the larger elk impossible. Wojtek suffered the least. The gentle giant had put on his winter weight over the past month, when food was plentiful. Now he watched his companions eat with hunger in his eyes. But he was content with what little food they could spare for him, as if he understood. Their strength was nearly spent, and their clothes barely fit, when the cold tundra gave way to dense forest, and they sighted it. At last they had reached the factory. Carr scouted ahead, and that is when they learned of its destruction. Zara saw rubble and burnt-out walls. But she saw something else. Encamped around the dilapidated walls was a small contingent of soldiers. But they did not wear the black or red uniforms that the two companions had witnessed far too often. They were massive men, clad in uniforms the likes of which Zara had never seen. Muted greens and red in colorful patterns. It was obvious they hailed from a land that neither Zara nor Anna knew. Though Zara was reluctant to approach the factory, guarded as it was, Anna assured her of what she already knew. They could not survive a trek back across the frozen lands. Perhaps their mission had failed. Perhaps there was still a chance they could find what they were looking for. But they would have to return home another way. They would approach quietly under the cover of the trees and observe this group of giants. As Zara and Anna approached the encampment under the cover of the dark forest, they watched every footfall. Not a branch rustled, and not a single twig broke beneath their feet. Even Wojtek, with his massive frame, inexplicably navigated through the woods without a sound. Carr could not see through the dense canopy of trees, and for the first time in weeks, they walked forward blind. But as they stopped at the edge of the clearing, the click of rifle hammers pulled back in unison met their ears. They turned around to see they were surrounded. The clearing was before them, but a row of half a dozen soldiers stood behind them, brandishing firearms, and ready to discharge the same at the slightest flinch from the two companions. Zara clicked her tongue, and Carr ascended above the trees before any of the soldiers could blink or swivel their guns. Wojtek growled, but Anna, fearing for the gentle bear's safety, silenced him with a quick command, her hands still at her side. One of the soldiers lowered his gun and approached. Zara and Anna stood still as the soldier, respectfully but thoroughly, searched and disarmed them both. They were led out of the forest and toward the soldiers' camp. None of them spoke a word. Zara's thoughts raced as they obediently followed the man who led the way. Without their weapons, they had no chance to overpower the men who had captured them. Zara was trained in combat, but both the women were physically outmatched by their captors. Even if they were not outnumbered so heavily, there would be little chance of escape. Moments later, they arrived at the encampment. Heads turned as they slowly made their way, led between the makeshift tents, still at gunpoint. Finally, their captors signaled for them to stop. Out of one of the tents emerged the largest man either of them had ever seen. He stooped, nearly doubled over, as he exited an opening in a tent that either of them could have passed through unbowed. After he straightened and stretched his massive frame, he beckoned them to an open area between the tents, in which a fire of glowing coals burned, surrounded by huge logs. The man signaled for them to sit opposite him, as he seated himself on one of the improvised benches. Only after they were seated did he speak. "You are not from the east, or the north," he said, with a cautious but low and powerful voice that seemed to vibrate in Zara and Anna's chests. "Where do you hail from, and why are you here?" Zara and Anna shared a look, unsure of what to do or say. Then Anna, ignoring Zara's glare of protest, began to tell her story. She spoke of the war at home. She told of her brother and father's deaths. She recounted her mission to recruit soldiers and of her decision to make her pilgrimage to the factory. Connor listened intently, with empathy in his features. He turned to Zara with an expectant look. Realizing she had no choice, Zara relayed her story. She boldly spoke of the Khanate, with pride in her voice, and spat as she told of their fear of the Red Army and her hope to learn the secrets of the factory, that they might defend their home. Connor sat quietly, for what seemed an eternity to the women. Then he again broke the silence. He knew of Anna's homeland. He had learned they had formed an alliance with the raiders to the north, a people that threatened his home. He sympathized with her plight, but with regret in his voice, he told her he could not help her. The factory was destroyed, and with it, its secrets. Even if the technology remained, he could not risk it falling into the hands of her new allies. Turning to Zara, he pledged to let them both depart in the morning, but not before, as his men would break camp at dawn. At that moment, a slender-framed woman with jet-black hair slowly emerged from behind a nearby tent. She stood straight, and her pace was slow and calm. The soldiers turned their heads in shock, and one of the larger men darted toward her with the intent to subdue and disarm her. In a quick motion, the woman stepped aside, without breaking her stride, striking the man on the back with an open hand as he passed her, sending him sprawling to the ground. A dozen guns flashed in the sun as they cocked. She stopped and calmly raised her hands, palm out, as a quiet smile slipped through her eyes. "Greetings, Connor." The words emerged warmly but urgently from Vesna's lips. "It is time we spoke. The woman and the bear who stand before you are not your enemies. They are your tribe's greatest hope. The North betrays them as we speak. The Northern Raiders have aligned with the Black Army. Once the Republic falls, Bjorn and Gunter will come for you."
Here we are in round 4, and we're ready to go. I'm going to start here in just about 3 or 4 minutes on the bidding. This first game, we've got Nordic Militant, Saxony Engineering, and Polania Agricultural. I like Polania, but I can't let the bidding go too high before taking Sax Engineering, because we've got Joy Division in this game, and he's a great Saxony player. And I know that he probably wants Saxony Engineering, but he wants it at a good bid. So I expect him to stay on the others until he has what he wants and switch to Saxony. So basically, I've got to either he either has to switch early, or I've got to switch before he does. Basically, I think I want Polania first, but I can't let Polania and Nordic get too high before switching over to Saxony, because I know if Joy had his druthers, he'd get Sax on a low bid. And he's good at Saxony engineering, so I can't let that happen. All right. Be lying if I said I wasn't nervous. These tournament games always get me going. Colonial Agricultural, I think, is the best combination on the board. If we were to bring up the tier list, we'd see it sits at B with Nordic Militant at B, but Nordic Militant only recently moved up to B, and it's probably a weak B, and probably weaker in this matchup. Saxony Engineering not far behind with a C. The problem is it can end really quickly. All right. Stay on Polania. Joy's going to try to drive it up. We're getting kind of high now. I'm not sure I go much higher here. 8 is kind of pushing it from my perspective. Come on, Joy, don't end it yet. Stay on Nordic a little bit longer. May have already locked myself into a corner here. I'm not sure anyone's going to bump me at 8. Joy goes up to 9. I don't like Nordic with Joy on Polania. Polania that gets out of the base quickly can cause problems for Nordic Militant. Plus, the area in the top in Albion's territory where Nordic would want to spread this turn is particularly susceptible to Polania invasion. I feel like 10 is too high for Polania Agricultural, and with Saxony in the game, I don't think I want to be on Nordic Militant. Or do I? Got a nice coin engine. Could potentially stall Saxony. Let's go 3. See if we can get Nordic Militant just a little bit higher. Thought I might end this. I think I have to take Saxony and hope for the best. Challenge is fewest workers on home base. Home base is where the character starts. So Saxony's going to move a lot. There's going to be opportunity. Oh, gee. I'm going to take it. Wish me luck, guys. Beloved pacifist and balanced workforce. Are you kidding me? I basically have 2 objectives I can't do. All right. In light of this, I don't think I have a choice except to rush the factory here. Hope for a bottom row action factory card. Hopefully slow down Polania by getting the best factory card on the board. All right, so at least the factory cards are good. The combat cards are good. Hopefully won't have many workers on home base. All right. This is one of the reasons I don't like taking Saxony in bid games and tournaments, because if you get two bad objectives like this, it becomes really difficult. All right. Assuming Polania doesn't get a mech off the encounter, I think they'll hit the factory in turn 8. Means I can get there first. I get a mech off the encounter. Let's see. They'll hit the encounter in turn 4, trade for mech number 1 in turn 5. Do something else in turn 6, get mech number 2 in turn 7. Unless they get a mech off the counter. I'm going underpass here so I can get out on the board quicker. Basically, I move a worker here, character here, and the mech and the worker here. All right, no mech. Food, which is good for him. 3 resources, which is good for him. But I think I'm going to win the race to the factory now. Just got to remember to take speed second. I usually take speed first and underpass second. Don't want to get carried away and think, oh, I already got underpass, so I can go for Riverwalk. That would be bad. Eagerness to go fight Polania. Want it to get away from me. Nordic here becomes relevant later in the game. Either when I can go in and attack because I have Riverwalk, or that coin engine starts to pick up and we get past turns 14, 15, and they start to spread out. Nordic going for a slower game with upgrades. Lonnie is not going to stay in the base. It's probably time for their enlist. Yeah. Be surprised here to see Nordic do anything except bolster into an upgrade for move and deploy. They could upgrade enlist, and then they could just straight trade for their enlist, but I don't expect them to do that. I really would like to see the pop for an enlist factory card here. We got here. I gotta take this, but I'm gonna run out of coin is the problem. I would love to take this. Finish off my max. But if Polania gets this, I'm in some serious trouble. And I need the bottom row action star other than mechs. So don't have a choice. At least if my coin is low, I've got a bit of 9 to work with. Maybe I'll get balanced workforce here. The other thing I could have done is take the mech one and then attack Polania. Comes mech number 2. Scores are still low, still early. What did Nordic upgrade? Not bad. He's set up for the mech soon. Number 3 is pretty nice. $2 you can't underestimate. That's half of their bid. You gotta take number 3 here, I think, and take some food or some metal. Right, he takes the food. Let's take enlist number 1. Probably gonna run out of coins, but let's take cards. Take pop to use on this encounter. Let's go to this one so we can underpass to another one next turn. Say if we get food off of this. Get food, but not enough. Darn it. Would have even liked coins off of this more than 2 food. At least next factory card use. At least next factory card use will be able to take coins. The bonus. Extend the factory card usage a little bit. At the factory, my score is pretty much trash. Do we keep balanced workforce alive or do we go ahead and produce? Gotta take a gamble. I shouldn't have moved there. $2. Oh, 2 resources. Food and let's go metal. Do I want a new worker? I do not. When the gamble pays off, I'm going to be able to get balanced workforce. Game may still move too slow for me. Could realistically get tier 2 here. He doesn't send this home. I thought he might. Melania can get tier 2. That's going to make the bid pretty easy. Oh, there goes my camera. Got to lock the shutter. Need some money really badly. Or I could just not have to use my factory card again. I mean, they're going to build a mech, so I'll be able to use it again. Do I want the combat card in the pop? Do I want to go ahead and spin the pop? I'm going to have 8 combat cards and 5 power. I don't want to commit myself to tier 2. Oh, balanced workforce is same number. Oh my gosh. Not as at least as many, same number. I messed up. That's okay. I can fix it. Just produce a 4th worker here, and then I can move them both to the same space. Right, I'm right there with Polani, a little behind Nordic. Okay. Gotta start slowing down Nordic pretty soon here. I could have even turned in balanced workforce mid-turn. Looks like before I even took the encounter. All right, 4. Right. Mac, move, produce, Mac, move. What does Polania do? Does he spread out? Grab an encounter? No BRA factory card. Could have taken the mech one, but it's cheaper to trade for the mechs and use a factory card. Only positive thing about the mech factory card is he gets to move and pick up an encounter. It's another combat card. I have no lack of combat cards here. Nordic's the one to worry about right now. Polania's score could skyrocket pretty quickly with one factory card use. Getting killed on the coin, I expected that. Gonna attack Nordic this turn. And there's the factory card. Polania's strategy is to sit on the factory. Try to win with coins. Prevent the workers from getting sent home. You produce out of Nordic here. Combat. Worker star. Mech whenever I want it, and another combat. Alright, time to take that metal off of Nordic's hands. Hopefully Nordic tries to call a bluff here. That's what I'm hoping. Because I threw down some serious cards here. Alright. Could have gone a little bit lower here. But it banishes 2 workers home. Polania here has their full move. They could come down here and attack me. I think they're going to. That's a good move. I don't think they're going to use... Cards. Can I afford to take a combat? Lonnie took camaraderie. That's not good. Lonnie killing it right now. It's the problem with balanced workforce. I had to wait too long to get my worker stars. Down 22. Bid of 9 to make. Nordic's up there too, but they're not the problem right now. 22 is 9. I need to make up 13. It's still very doable. This is Nordic's chance for a factory card if they want it. I have 0 popularity. Why not? Just bring the workers out. Keep their challenge point hopes alive. Still don't have... Okay, here comes his artillery. Everyone's in reach now. Lonnie has their triple move. Spread and try to suicide me. It's gonna be hard to make the bid doing that. I gotta get my... Okay, I need... Takes 4 away from Nordic if I take the factory from him. I get 6, that's 29. Beat down by 5. A couple stars makes it easy. Lonnie can play 17. Really gonna pick on me here. Here's the spread from Polania. I gotta start bumping workers. Thing is, I can't go to 5 stars here. Down by 19. After the bid, that is, right? Nordic uses the factory card. Someone stay on a tunnel for me. Going to 5 stars here is a problem. Oh my gosh. That just happened. And he gifted me some resources too. He went all out. I don't think he has a 5 unless he just drew it. Okay, so let's do the math here. 1, 2, 3, 4. Take away 3 from Polania. That's 7. Get a star. That's 10. Another territory. That's 12. Take away 3 more from Polania. That's 15 plus 9 is 24. I think I'd tie. Lose on the tiebreaker. Is that right? Okay, I got to take the factory. That would be 6 points gained plus the star is 9. 3 points lost by Polania. 6 points lost by Polania. That's 15. Okay. 2, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 16, 19 plus 9 is 28. I think I have it. I didn't do the math against Nordic. Loses 4, that goes to 38. 6, it's enough. Come on. Yes! Now let's see if I did the math right. I did. That is Saxony Engineering in 16 turns with no workers on home base for 7 points. I'm sitting at 31. I'm a shoo-in to move on to the next round. The next game is gravy. This is a great point to be at. Thanks for watching this game. Hope you stay for the next one.
Chapter 4, Part 2. With Friends Like These. It was not far to Bakhchessarai now. Zara's heart and body ached for food, a fire, and her own bed. The trip home had been farther than the trip to the factory, but led by Vesna, their route had been intentional and direct. They would not risk the harsh, unforgiving exposure of the tundra. Instead, they wove through forests of ancient trees, on paths, first of softer earth, and then as they traveled deeper into the woods, the paths became hard and rocky, snaking between the trunks of canopies so dense that no underbrush grew. They had scarcely said a word in days. Zara glanced at her travel companion. Vesna was articulate, composed, and direct when she spoke. But in between these times, her manner was akin to a monk who had taken a vow of silence. Zara thought back to the day they spent in Connor's camp, only a little over a week ago now, and how much had changed. There had been dancing and music that evening, but not like the music she knew. It was at times raucous, and at others sorrowful. But what stood out the most had been the meeting. Moments after Connor had motioned for his men to lower their guns, Vesna had produced a map. Spread upon a nearby table, it was unlike anything any of them had ever seen. The lines and symbols were carved into the thick paper, not only in pencil, but in various shades of ink. Some of them were black and fresh, others were grayed, but most were various shades of subtle brown, like the ancient writings on the oldest scrolls of the Khanate. Zara had read these often in her schooling, but she did not recognize many of the writings or notations scrawled across the pages of the map. Each of them saw their own nation on the map in exquisite detail, and marveled as they silently traced their eyes along their own journey from home to the factory. Vesna spoke with inalterable precision of the state of Europa. Her knowledge of troop movements, the political state of each faction of Europa, as well as her grasp of battlefield tactics, baffled each of them. It only took moments for each listener to begin to question whether Vesna in fact knew more of their own home, its culture, and its political aims than they themselves did. The Red Army had taken hold of much of the east and south. An old but uneasy alliance with Bjorn's people had kept them out of the farthest northern reaches of Europa. But everywhere their troops had laid claim to the land. Skirmishes with Gunter and his armies had littered the territories to the south of the factory in recent months. But something had changed. Vesna told them that Bjorn of the north had brokered a ceasefire between the Red Curtain and the Black armies. The Empire to the west could not challenge the Red Army's numbers. But their massive war machines meant the cost of every battle was high. Now the Red Armies retreated to the east. Each faction's leader had carefully shrouded their plans and efforts in enigma. But somehow, Vesna knew. Gunter had approached Bjorn some months ago and promised the technology for the mechs. The plans he had stolen from Tesla included diagrams for crafting machines that could travel over great bodies of water. At this information, Connor's massive shoulders sagged, and his eyes glazed over. But presently, his attention again turned to Vesna, as she continued, unmoved by his emotion. In return for the plans, Bjorn had pledged to launch a massive final assault with Gunter onto the Polania Republic. It was to buy time that Bjorn had accepted the alliance proposed by the Republic. That time, though, was at an end. After the Republic fell, Bjorn would turn his attention north. Both he and the Saxony Empire would use the Republic as a launching ground from which to assault Albion. Vesna paused, and for a fleeting moment the faintest hint of emotion graced her voice. The Red armies were converging on the border of the Rusviet Union. Vesna pointed to a series of dots that scattered across the nation, not far from the border. The Union had been building production facilities for over a year in anticipation of acquiring her father's technology. At this, the companion's jaws dropped. This was the first indication the woman had given of who she was. The Red armies had now acquired the technology and would have a massive army alongside dozens of the massive war machines ready to invade all of Europa. Not even Bjorn's people would be protected from their wrath. This time, they meant to control all. That was when Vesna produced 2 scrolls and a letter. The letter and 1 scroll she gave to Anna. The other scroll she gave to Zara. She met Connor's expectant gaze and said only, "You already have that which was meant for you. Send 3 men to take it to Albion. The rest of you will be needed elsewhere." To this, Connor felt silent. She told Anna and Connor to return to Anna's homeland by traveling west across the sea. They would find boats anchored along the shore sufficient for their numbers. She then turned to Zara and said only, "I will return with you. Send the scroll home with your eagle this evening. We will depart in the morning." After this, there was now more discussion. Vesna rolled up her map and returned it to her satchel. Connor ordered his men to prepare a meal for their guests. Evening festivities gave way to the morning sun. Connor sent a group of 3 men north, as Vesna had said, and then left with the rest of his men and Anna toward the west. Vesna and Zara watched Carr fade southward into the light of the morning sun, and then started their trek back to the Khanate. Zara's daydream faded as she approached the palace with Vesna at her side. The people at either side of the road stared as they passed. Zara grew uneasy as they drew closer. There was an uneasiness that hung in the air, which was unfamiliar to her. She had played in these streets since she was a child. Something was different. As they ascended the palace steps, Zara realized in surprise she did not recognize the faces of the guard. They did not greet her or salute. Instead, their leader moved forward to them and politely but firmly demanded that they give their weapons over before entering the palace. Zara began to object, but a glance from Vesna silenced her. She acquiesced, and moments later they were ushered into the throne room. Zara recoiled in horror upon entering the room. Upon the throne sat not her father, the Khan, but Dmitri himself. So long her father's most trusted advisor, he now sat in her father's place. Scanning the room, Zara's heart sank as she realized why not a palace guard's face was familiar to her. Her father was no longer in control. The Khanate had fallen. Then her eyes noticed a thin woman on Dmitri's right side. Her blonde hair fell beneath a fur-lined hat, and her chest bore the emblem of a red star. Zara instinctively raised her hand to reach into her belt. There was a knife there the guards had not found. But before her hand even moved, her wrist was caught in the vice-like grip of her female companion, who whispered only, "Now is not the time." Dmitri welcomed them with warm words that fell upon Zara's ears like the hiss of a snake. He told her that after she had left, an emissary from the Rusviet Union had arrived at the palace. He had promised peace and friendship between their 2 nations. He only asked that they help them produce mechs and join them in their fight against the Republic to the west and the invader from the east. Dmitri told her he had counseled her father to accept the man's terms. But the Khan had refused to put his nation at the beck and call of any other. The next day, Dmitri had overthrown her father in a coup. Zara realized he'd been planning this moment for years. Nothing else could explain the fealty of these guards to him, or the rapidity with which he was able to take control after the arrival of the Rusviet emissary. Her heart sank as she realized they must have had the plans she sent with Kar for over a week now, and that she had been a pawn in Dmitri's plot from the beginning. A man entered the room from the side, her eagle on his arm. Dmitri told her it grieved him to have to act, but her father's stubbornness had left him no choice. However, he would like to see her serve as one of his generals, as he knew they shared a common mind, and as a show of good faith, he would return her eagle to her now and await her decision. Everything grew quiet, and her eyes glazed as Kar landed on her arm. She didn't remember being ushered to her quarters with Vesna, or what was said on the way. But hours later she awoke in bed to see Vesna holding Kar on the balcony of Zara's room. The woman whispered a few words in the eagle's ear. Then it suddenly took flight, rose into the sky, and turned west.
All right, game 2. Let's do this. Hmm. Hmm. Is Polania actually the second bid here? I'll let Joy have it for 15. The question is, do I want to go any higher in Polania? I think I do. Wow. I didn't think Joy was going to get bid off on Crimea Industrial at 16. I think now maybe you take Togawa. I didn't look back at that last one. 17. All right, let's take Tog. And let's bids on. Shore up the shore. Divide and conquer. Good. They're actually doable objectives, especially divide and conquer. Challenge for this one, by the way, is divided and conquered, which is control the most territories adjacent to the factory. Doesn't look like Crimea is going to rush me. Let's take it a little slower. Lonnie comes out of the gate with a move on the mechanical map, which is interesting. It's not something you usually see. I guess you see a move. I guess the shift of the worker to... And the produce is what is interesting to me. All right, I'm using my standard opening that I have in my Togawa tutorial. I may have to depart from at some point. Got to keep an eye on Crimea and what they do. I don't hit my encounter until turn 8. Do need to make sure I take 2 territories adjacent to the factory, but that shouldn't be too hard. Crimea going with a pretty standard setup here. It looks like I'm going to get my coin in list out, or anybody actually has any mechs. That's pretty huge. The other thing I could do is take the power enlist, but Lonnie's going to upgrade at least once. That trade for oil. And I'm going to upgrade at least once. So that would be 2 power, but the coin is just so much better. I'll run out of power at some point, but I can always run into somebody. The other thing I could do is take the card enlist, but Polania doesn't look like they're going to be enlisting quickly. I think Crimea is probably deciding whether to trade for metal here or to trade for wood. There's an opening where you build some buildings and end up with a mine on the village. It does go with the wood. Now the question is, do I go for the popularity enlist? I mean, good. Two people are building. And of course, take power because I have none. Hope it was worth giving up some of those coins. I don't think the mechs are coming out too slowly. All right, I just made the wrong call. Because Crimea is just going to build 1 building. Probably plenty of 2. Sold out a few coins for a couple pop. I probably use. That's a good place for the mine. I like that. see. Produce. Here comes speed. So I have to move to the encounter even though I don't want to yet. Polania. All right. I had to go on mute for a minute. Sorry about that. Didn't want to see the too popularity build the structure. Like him to build the structures the old-fashioned way. What's he gonna do? Take a bunch of food? He's got the mechanical board, so if he's gonna take number one, well, he doesn't. Okay, he's got 2 workers on the farm. Probably why. Set myself up for next produce. I've departed from my sequence here. May has forced me to. This is tier 2. So this is desperately needed power that might make Crimea think twice about attacking me. And got to be the combat card trap, right? The power trap. Crimea just has 1 combat card right now. And I got the power, so I'm not going to run out. That's great. Power trap. I'm winning after bids right now. I think, yeah. Okay. Crimea is going to build buildings. Oil and a pop. Nice for Crimea. Is this in list number 2 for Polania? Comes a Mac. The Shinobi. Getting sent home would be pretty devastating right now, and they obviously Crimea can't know this, but my combat cards are trash. Crimea's bleeding cards. Sitting on 1 combat card right now. They're gonna build and send me to tier 2. Maybe it was the right call. There's Scout. And upgrade the produce and the deploy. Get another mech next turn. My guess is Crimea blocks me from the factory. That would be a smart play. Plus Neighbor Lakes is the build bonus, and this is a nice spot to build. Thought for a minute maybe I'd gone Suton on accident. All right, no surprise, there's a move out of Crimea. Moving to a tunnel. Strangely not one that's already guarded. Okay, that's because they're going to shift over to the mountain. This is a nice spot to build for sure. And I'm in tier 2. Crimea up by 10. So I'm ahead on mechs versus enlist right now. Produce twice more. I need 3 workers on food. Okay, I'm gonna get one. So I'm gonna go ahead and go to 6 workers, even though that's gonna cost me some popularity. Still winning based on bids. Crimea's points are about to explode here. Almost no cards and no power. Right? I'm going to start moving for the factory. I don't need this 3rd move. Fortunate to have the dead move there. Can't do much about that though. Even with our bad combat cards, Crimea actually would lose a fight on this tunnel. They go for it. Not only do we have more power than they do now, but we get Ronin. Wonder if he'll ever use the soil. Going to the factory is a good call here, I think. I'm going to build another territory adjacent to the factory. Might have considered leaving a worker there, honestly. Don't like Polonia's strategy. They're not making a ton of coin. They're not getting popularity. They're not really getting much build bonus. They're not getting any mechs. Not a winning strat, it would seem to me. Okay, so that's a game changer for Mia. Up by 16 right now. Maybe cover this bid in tier 1. So I put this mech here. Crimea can scout me, so it doesn't really do any good to pile up my mechs with only 2 cards. But what does do some good is not putting it here and not allowing Crimea to get a combat without giving me Ronin or flipping a trap. Crimea could take a turn off to use their factory card and bump these workers. But I kind of don't think they're going to do that, and they don't. All right. Keep going. Point trap. Don't want Crimea to hit this spot. One, two, three, four, five, six, seven. Let's secure. How many mechs are left? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. I need some better cards. At least there's a 4 in there now. Down 10. Okay, gonna get 2 stars next turn. Somebody's gonna build, right? There's 9 wood on the board. Polani come out of the base. Down 6. Crimea. Only 6 points wrapped up in tier 2, but that's a pretty significant 6 points. Crimea can get 2 combats next turn. They could end in turn 14. I really hope Polania builds here, and they're going to. That's great because that allows me to get 2 stars this turn without dropping out of tier 2. Unless they skip the building, but I really doubt they will. Lonnie keeping mechs together. Not going to give Crimea an easy combat. Well, there's the 4th structure if they want to take it. They have the popularity to do it. 2 enlists. Enough food to round out their enlists. They already have enough food for their enlists. So take the structure, right? No, they're going to pass on it. They want tier 2, it looks like. And we're going to fortify this spot up here. Two down. For me, if we're to pick up 2 stars here, though, that'd be 12 plus territory. They'd make the bid. That's the combat card trap. Give them some trouble. Unless they scouted the right card. And that's the power trap. So if they hit this spot, they'd basically have 1 card. And they'd give me Ronin. So I'd win the combat with 5, even if they took my 4. See, I'm tempted to take the mech to the lake without any workers and the mech to the lake without any workers, so that I'd have Sutan and Ronin if Polania tries to threaten either of these spots. For me, I'm going to fortify the factory. Tells me the combat cards aren't great. It's okay, I don't need the factory. Crimea thinks they need tier 2 apparently to make this work. Combat card and a pop. They only have 1 enlist. 2 combats, a build star. Six up. Just needs 16. Problem is we got some dead turns coming up. I want to go over here and get this encounter. Another star out of Polania. spread out on the tunnels a little bit. And let's go here. To here. I don't think we're going to get tier 2 or tier 3 rather. Need the coins. Stall Crimea. Look at Polania in tier 2, actually a point ahead of us. Maybe I should have anticipated that upgrade and gone for a different. Still got enlist left. All right, how do I best use a dead turn here? Maybe just trade for pop? Or power? I go to 9 pop. Melania builds another building, that's 10. Why not, I guess? Not got a lot else to do. It's a coin trap. For me, I can't afford to hit it. Can't afford to lose pop either. Oh, then they get 2 popularity off the encounter. Brilliant for them. The combats are still going to be difficult though, but they go up by 13. It'd be a long game. Got a little bit. $63. What would tier 3 give us? 14 more points? $18 for Crimea. I'm sorry, 8 pop for Crimea, so they could afford to attack here, but that's a coin trap. I'm in serious trouble. Can Polania move this turn? They can. They're going to move and they're going to build. Right? They have to. The upgrade would be nice, right? But they don't really need it, do they? Maybe on their mechs? Yeah, I gotta take the 2 oil, take the upgrade. Probably upgrade bolster and deploy if I had to guess. And they're gonna build. And suddenly, we are 8 and 12 points up. The low bid. No idea how we're gonna end the game, though. Mia now needs tier 3. Can't take the factory, even if we could afford the pop. Mia can still make the bid. Everyone's done building. We have to stay in tier 3. Mia wins this if it goes long enough. Do we attack Crimea? Eventually give them a combat? No, we're gonna move. Even though it probably gives Crimea a combat to do so. Mia's gonna get the upgrade star here. We need 2 more. Don't have the combat cards to win against Crimea in a straight up 2v2, but I could go 3. It's still not enough. But they don't know that. Thing is, I'm 20 up. Crimea's got to reverse 37. Going to tier 3 would get them 15 of that. Where do they spread? They can take the character here, go to tier 3, but then they risk giving me a fight. I can bring 2 units over here. Play up to 12. The next turn we move. The other thing Crimea could do is attack me, give me Ronin, and it'd be a 1v1. What did they do? Slowly go for the enlists now. May have to suicide on Polania to end this game. Crimea won't let me, I know. Where do we move? Still trash cards. $21. Tier 3 just gives them 15. Still got a lot of ground to make up. Come on, give me another card. It's suicide on Polani if I could reach him. Where to move? I'm not going to give Crimea combats. Six twos. Crash. Gotta take the pop. Hide. We'll need 17. Maybe I take the pop star. Suicide Polania. Or just outright beak Polania in a combat, maybe. Double attack with suits on. Crimea. Cannot afford to go to 5 stars. Or even 4 stars, really. Triple attack them. I'd have to do the math, but if I hit them here, here, and here, somebody has to take it 2 stars. The only thing they could do is lose on the factory and knock me out of tier 3. Oh, I wish I was still on a tunnel. It doesn't really matter between these two. Guess I'll do that. I mean, it literally can't get combats off of me. Might be able to end if they take this one. And then next turn take this one. If I could only reach Polania. Pick up a combat. They have camaraderie, so I can't work or shield them. They can end though. be 8 points away. Star and flipping a territory would be enough. Right? Well, they get 4 for the star, 7 more for the territory. I think Polani is going to win this game. Doesn't mean the opening was good. It just means I stalled the game for them and it went long. Yeah, Polani had to throw 0 there. I'm still ahead of Crimea, but I don't think Polani can end now. The problem is I'm pretty much fully spread out. The only thing that does anything is trading for pop right now. Could be wrong, but I don't think Polania can get within 11. That would be 86. They'd have to pick up 10, and then they probably lose the tiebreaker because they have to spend some power to win. And I think they're tied on units. Now Polania just moved to the factory. They're going to end? Are they going to win? Is it enough? I think it's enough. I'd had 2 5s, but I didn't. Good game, Paul. Good game, Zottel. Well played. All right. He wins by 7 and his bid was 6. So it's a 1. No, he wins by 9 over me and his bid was 6. So it's a 3-point win. Zottel takes. All right, guys. I'm moving on. It was a good set of 2 rounds. It looks like I got 7 points in the first game. And with 3 territories adjacent to the factory, I get 2 points in the second game for a total of 9 points. So good games. Thanks for watching, and I will see you in championship play, where I will play 4 different games, and the last 4 chapters of the story will be revealed. So thanks for watching. Have a great one.